Welcome to Gamepinions episode 4. It's actually episode 5. I just had to say episode 4 because I felt bad that I didn't say episode 4 on episode 4. I don't want episode 4 to be, left out of the whole entire Gamepinions lore here years down the line. It's like, hey, whatever happened to episode 4? It was never said in the intro. Well, now it has been. It's been corrected. And so we're actually on episode 5, though. My file names and my episode names, they're so janked up right now, and I have to go and fix them. So I'm actually probably going to do that after this episode, go back and kind of fix the feed in terms of their file names, and hopefully everything just stays working and doesn't fall apart underneath us. But I'm finally back to making a podcast here, obviously, unless this is some, hologram or something like that, I don't know. But we were trying to buy a house and things went janky again, so I'm staying right here for now, for, at least for the foreseeable future. So I figured, you know what? It's time to bust out all of my equipment again. I haven't put all my decorations on my desk yet. I'm still kind of, waiting on that. It's just opening the boxes again and putting everything back out. I just don't know if I feel like it. So they might be staying in boxes until, the time I move out, depending on, how long I stay here for. So everything's kind of bare around me right now. I still have my green screen, obviously, and I still have, my basic recording equipment. It's just been kind of crazy recently, but it's really good to be back, and I've been dying to make a podcast. I was on Twitter a couple nights ago. I was talking about the whole IGN situation, and I want to get into that. It's just a very unfortunate situation, and I feel bad for IGN. But before we go into that, I wanted to talk about some of the little news stories that have kind of popped up over the last couple days. So on Tuesday, Nintendo revealed that Dark Souls is going to be coming out on October 19th for the Nintendo Switch, something that I think a lot of us have been waiting for, and I know that it kind of sucks because it seems like almost like a common trend that these Nintendo third-party games, or at least the third-party games that, come out on the Nintendo systems, they always seem to have something wrong with them. They always are later released. It's kind of like going back to the Wii U days. It's like they had third-party support, but it was a lot later than when the game's actually released. It's something that just typically tends to happen. With this game, though, I think it's a little bit different because, honestly, I think this game had the most hype around it because it was on the Switch. I think most people were more excited to play it on the Switch than on any other system. So I think that the delay on this one, and I might have said this before, but I think the delay on this one actually isn't going to hurt it that much because this game, even in most of the previews, most of the places previewing this game were previewing it on the Nintendo Switch because it's just kind of a bigger deal. It doesn't really look, vastly superior to the original version of the game, but the fact that now you can play it on the go, it just takes on a completely different meaning. People are more excited about the version on the Switch. At least that's what I've kind of gathered out of it. So it does suck that it had to wait till October. I think it's good, though, in a sense, because I think the Switch games do require a little bit more optimization, obviously, because it's not, running the same kind of firepower as these other systems. Not necessarily a weak system. It just needs a little bit more love and care to run properly in handheld mode, I'm sure. So I think that these few months that they've had to kind of refine the game, I think it's going to help it a lot. And I think that, October is a good release point for it. It's, right before the whole Smash Bros. Craze is going to start, and it gives the Switch a nice little, third-party game, before the end of the year. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be awesome. Judging from the, early gameplay footage of it running on the Switch, it looks like it runs awesomely well. I always have said that if Dark Souls was on a handheld, I'd probably prefer it. Just to me, that kind of gameplay style just works better on a handheld. I tend to learn things better on the handheld because I think it's just a more personalized experience. It's just something that I've always kind of had. I didn't really learn how to play Monster Hunter until it was on the 3DS, and specifically the 3DS XL, bigger screens but closer. You can see what everything's doing. You can understand what's going on, inventory management, just all that other stuff. It was just a lot easier on the Nintendo 3DS XL. So I think this is going to have the same effect for me on Switch. To me, it's a more personalized experience, and you're just closer to the screen, and I don't know. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to jump into Dark Souls because I did play a tiny bit on Xbox, and when I say a tiny bit, I mean like the, opening sequence, and that was it. I got to that one place where, you're climbing up the little hill and then the guy just beats the crap out of you all the time. That's the point I got to. Maybe no one else had that issue, but so yeah, I'm really excited about that. I didn't get to talk about the whole Smash Bros. Direct. I thought it was really cool though. I thought it was awesome. They put King K. Rool in there. Simon from freaking Castlevania. That's freaking awesome. Dark Samus, and there was one more. Chrom. Yeah, Chrom. So they added some really good characters there that I thought, fit the roster really well. King K. Rool is a really big surprise. I don't think anyone was really expecting him to go in there. Some people were making speculation. Apparently, there was a purple and yellow, set of chairs near Sakurai. So I don't know if that's actually going to be a Waluigi thing or not. But I honestly wouldn't. I wouldn't really think too much into that. But who knows? I think Waluigi though is pretty much destined to be an assist trophy and nothing more. But who knows, if enough people complain about it, enough people are up in arms about it, maybe as a last minute announcement they'll release Waluigi as a primary character. But it is kind of weird that he isn't a primary character, just because he was in Mario Tennis, he was in Mario Kart, he was in Super Strikers. So it is kind of weird to see him not as a Super Smash Bros. Character. It's just so hilarious because people were freaking out about Ridley. I remember when the Wii U version came out, one of the highest rated votes was SpongeBob, which was freaking hilarious. Yeah, I hope they do that again this year. I'd like to see what kind of crazy votes people put in this time. I remember Shrek, I think, was up there as one of them too. Everyone always wants Goku and stuff like that. But yeah, I think the characters though so far, I mean, that game's roster is looking pretty stacked, and they still actually have a lot of time to introduce more characters. And then obviously after the game releases, we'll probably see some DLC for characters. It's going to be a loaded roster, more so than any other Smash Bros. Game. The game does look like it may be downgraded a little bit graphics-wise, but to me, with the roster and just the ability to play it on the TV and on the handheld itself, it's like a super version of the Wii U/3DS version cooked down into one, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be even better than that. It looks like there might be some kind of campaign similar to maybe what they had in Brawl, like the Subspace Emercy, I think that's what it was called. I can't remember exactly what it was called. But I thought that was a really, fun and interesting way. It was basically fan service, but I thought it helped you learn the characters a little bit because you're kind of fighting against, like, CPU, weaker enemies. It's kind of, something fun to do. And I just like seeing the characters interact in the cutscenes. I personally liked it a lot. So I think I'll appreciate it this time even more if they do include something like that in this one. It just gives the game a little bit extra content and be something really cool to see. But that game's looking sick. I cannot wait for that game to come out. And man, I can't believe it's going to be coming out so soon. And then there was one more story. I think this comes from a Game Informer interview with one of Bethesda's representatives, I think. And this is kind of going back to our Sony crossplay episode, and that was such a big thing coming out of E3 with the whole Fortnite situation, how you can't crossplay, you can't take your profile off your PlayStation 4 and take it to other places. It's just locked down. Well, Bethesda came out and said basically that their new Elder Scrolls Legends game, and this is not really their major game, this isn't a major, AAA whatever, so it doesn't really mean that much. But they said basically that they're going to not bring that game to, well, they didn't necessarily say it in that way. They said it in I'm trying to remember the exact quote, but I'll probably just paraphrase it here. They basically said that all the platforms are going to need to have cross-platform, even the existing ones. So even the ones on, I guess, the mobile devices, they're all going to have to include cross-play between each other. And that's a mandatory feature for every system that this is going to come to. Now, seeing as Sony is against crossplay, something is going to have to give there. if that game is going to be on the Sony platform, because it just kind of implies that, hey, if Sony doesn't allow this to be cross-played with the other systems, then it's not going to be on the Sony, the PlayStation 4. It's not going to go on there. And that can kind of just be implied. It's something that you can kind of just count on it not being there. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out. It's not like they said it about Fallout. If they said it about Fallout, then we'd probably see some action being taken. But because this is just kind of like a mobile card game, it's not probably going to be a big deal. And yeah, I think, Sony should really just include crossplay. This is just going to be an issue as time goes on. This is like the new thing. We had these features kind of introduced like throughout the years, and this is the next big feature, the crossplay. This is the next thing, and if you're not on board with it, then you're going to run into some issues and you're going to be behind. And like I said in the other episode, Nintendo, who has friend codes for their online system, they don't even have a party chat. They are fine with crossplay with these other platforms. It's just not characteristic of Sony, but in the same sense it kind of is, because they're very proprietary with their stuff. But just allow crossplay. It just makes things so much easier. There was one more thing. Apparently Forbes magazine, I guess, linked Diablo 3 on the Nintendo Switch. And I thought that Diablo 3 was already confirmed for Nintendo Switch. I thought that was a thing, but I guess not. So when I heard this news, I'm just like, well, yeah, isn't that already known? But apparently it is not known, and it's been leaked for the Switch. And I've never played any of the Diablo games, but I think on the Nintendo Switch I probably would be interested in playing it, just because, once again, handheld, it would be probably a lot of fun to play with friends. So I've actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure if I ever even played a dungeon crawler. I probably haven't. But it's definitely the kind of game I'd like to give a try on the handheld, just because it's a perfect combination to learn a game for me. And I really, really would love to try to play with some friends with local wireless play. Please put local wireless play in there. I'd love to play games on local wireless. You don't have to worry about any of the internet connections. You can just sit there, connect the systems together. That's all I want. It's awesome. Include it. We need more games with local wireless play. That's all I ask, and I'll be happy with the game. Local wireless play. It works. It works for Mario Kart. And if Mario Kart works with local wireless play, then your game can too. All right, so now we have to go into the more unfortunate story today, and this has been talked about basically all week. I think it was discovered last week, but there's just been a lot of talk about it, and a lot of information's been surfacing. And this is, of course, the Filip Miucin / Boomstick Gaming / IGN story. It seems like it's gotten a lot deeper, and Boomstick Gaming kind of did IGN a favor here, because now IGN is going back and looking at this guy's work, and apparently they're not liking what they are seeing. So Filip Miucin, I will say, I want to go over just my thought process when this story first released, and I did touch upon it a little bit on Twitter a couple nights ago, and I just kind of wanted to talk it out, just because I want to get all my thoughts out there on it. It might be really discombobulated, but if it is, just know that it's all my original work. So, you can't hate me that bad for it. But when I first heard this story, I thought, you know what? This is really conclusive evidence. It's obvious he took his information and his review all from Boomstick Gaming. The time frames in the videos, all of them match up. It's really bad. It's really bad. I thought that this guy was probably running really late on a deadline for whatever reason, and I thought he probably panicked. He didn't want to tell anybody who was having a tough time, and he probably just went ahead and was like, you know what, I need to do something drastic here, and he took the review from Boomstick Gaming, which does not make it okay. None of that is okay, even if that were the situation. Unfortunately, it's not. And the reason why I thought that this might be a possibility is because I used to write for a smaller gaming website. I never plagiarized anybody, for sure. That's just not something I would do. But I used to write for a small gaming website that we used to get review copies for games. Now, we would get them later than all of the major websites. I feel like they kind of, distribute it out in terms of your traffic, I guess, that your website generates or your popularity or whatever. I'm not sure what kind of analytical data they use to determine who gets the games first. We would get ours after, the major companies. So when we got our games, it would usually be, I guess, around 3 days before the release date of the game or something like that. It was, I didn't know the exact specifics because I wasn't the owner of the website. But we would get our games and we would have deadlines to complete them. And not just to complete them, but to complete the game, review the game, post the review. If you did a video review, which I think I was usually the only one that liked to do that. And I only had one video review, I think, for that website the entire time I worked there, if I remember correctly. I did have one on a microphone as well. But, we had, like I said, a 3-day deadline. And it was really stressful. And I wasn't getting paid for any of those reviews. This was more of a hobby for me. And I was doing that along with working, along with school, all on the side. And I didn't really have a lot of time to dedicate towards the website because it really wasn't giving me any means of survival. I had to, obviously have my job and I had to go to school because, this is what I was trying to do. I think I was trying to balance a little bit, too many things at once for my small, brain capacity. But, I figured, he was probably in a similar situation, right? Only this is with a major company and things are a little bit more crazy. If you don't hit these deadlines, then it's over. Now, with the small website, it was stressful because if you don't hit the review window in this, same period of time that they want that in their inbox. They want to know that you have the review and that you reviewed the game. If you don't have that review done, there's a good chance that next time that they have a game coming out, they might not hit you up because you didn't release a review on time or, there's a lot of things that go into that, right? But I never went to I never went to other reviews to look at what they've done. And that's even at this like really small stage. You just don't do that. As a writer, you take pride in what you do. And one of the reasons why I left the gaming website was one, because I didn't have a lot of time, but I also felt that the quality of my reviews had really gone down. I had to review freaking Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 in 3 days. That game is a freaking huge game. And I'm not even a Dragon Ball fan. It was really difficult for me to review that game, and it was still a good game. It's still a great gameplay. It was still fun to play. Is it my favorite kind of game? No. Is it a decent game? Yeah, absolutely. It was actually really good, and I think that, there's a whole different discussion whether or not game reviews are even, conclusive to what you think long term, because you think things differently when you're reviewing the game originally. But I noticed that my reviews got more general and more general because I was just trying to rush through them and not really take my time with them. That's one of the reasons why I left, because I felt bad. When you're a writer, you like to sit there and you like to craft things, or at least I do. I like to, make things sound really good and make things sound awesome. And you can't do that if you steal someone else's work. You don't get that same pride out of it. And when you post that review, it's not yours. Like, you don't feel the pride that comes with that. And to me, if you're going to be putting in the work as a, writer, you want to feel that at the end. Otherwise, what's the point of doing it? For a paycheck? It doesn't make sense. And, I did review other games too, and I reviewed Dying Light, and I thought that review was really good. I still stand by that review to this day because it was amazing. I just remember I thought the default control scheme was awesome. Everything flowed. The gameplay was awesome. Just the whole fluidity of the game. You could like jump on things, jump off of things, attack things, slide. It was amazing. I loved it. And, the fact that now I'm kind of separated from that, I can come on here and I can do cool things that I can take my time with and I don't have to rush, and I can feel, at least a sense of something when I put something out there. These podcasts might not be amazing, but at least I can, make them and have fun with them and enjoy them. And I know that they're my work. They don't have to be incredible. They don't have to be, groundbreaking and awesome and amazing to everyone else. But I have fun making them and I enjoy making them. So when I found out that he didn't do that, and the kind of person that he kind of comes off as is someone that really cares deeply for his work. You look at his videos, there's a lot of time and attention into his video editing. It seems like he's a really talented video editor on his YouTube channel. So the fact that he went in and he was taking this stuff, to me, it was just really disappointing. And I always, like I said, I might not have said that, I can't even remember now, but I always try to assume the best of people. I always try to look for the best in them, and I always try to give them the benefit of the doubt. And in this case, I was just flat out wrong to do that, because this guy, not only did he steal this review, he didn't apologize for doing it. He didn't really openly admit that he did it. And to me, that kills his chance of getting a job in the industry ever again. It's just, you can't do that. You can't do that to your coworkers, because now IGN's going to receive a lot of crap that they don't deserve for that situation. And I never have really understood the hate for IGN. You know, this is a channel that really that I kind of put into place here that, you know, appreciates opinions. And, you know, you can disagree with their reviews. Some of their review scores, like the whole too much water thing, that was funny. You know, it's memeable. It's, you know, very memeable. I personally didn't have a problem with it. It's like, if you dislike the game, you have to put your honest opinion out there, and it's your work. You don't have to agree with their review. Their review isn't the end all be all. It's just somebody's opinion on the website. And if that's their opinion, then that's their opinion. Like, you can't mess around with that. But the fact that this guy, Filip Miucin, could not formulate his own opinion was just mind-boggling to me. And I listened to Colin Moriarty's podcast. It's his Side Quest podcast, and he was saying that it's very rare to see somebody, you know, come in here and get in trouble for plagiarizing when it was not based around, like, not sorting, like, you know, not citing something, or not, you know, or taking knowledge that isn't generalized, known, you know, generally known knowledge to the public, and putting it in your thing without citing it. No, this is taking an entire opinion of a review and putting it into your review as not. It just doesn't make sense. You don't do that. You know, he said that was one of the easiest things that you could do at IGN, was to write a review, because you literally just have to answer a question. And it is really odd. Like, why? Like, what is happening? And then I heard some different theories about maybe what happened. Maybe it was like an Amy Schumer like thing where he hired writers for him. But if he did that, then that's just as bad, in my opinion. It's just as bad if he did that, because then he's not reviewing the game. So, man, it was really, really disappointing to me. And the fact that he came out, he challenged a Kotaku writer who I'm not really super familiar with. I've kind of been out of this whole thing for a while now. I haven't really been keeping up with the gaming websites as much as I used to. I used to be on IGN all the time. It's just life kind of takes you by the, you know, and it makes you, you know, go to places that, you know, you don't really, whatever. But I don't know where I was going with that. But I don't typically go to IGN anymore. I listen to their podcast still. I still listen to MVC. So Filip Miucin is going to be gone. And it's so weird. And I feel bad. Brian Altano posted something on Twitter. He's one of their, you know, big timers there. And it's heartbreaking to read what he has to say. And, you know, this is somebody that puts, you know, everything in there. He puts his blood, sweat, and tears in there. And I think a lot of people there do. I mean, you can't work there and not work hard. It's just not, it doesn't work. You have to work hard if you work at a company like that. And you know how hard they work and how much they care about their craft. I mean, this is something that they love. I mean, video games are something that they love. That's why they're there. That's why they work there. And, you know, I felt bad. I really did. And I hope that they get over it. I'm sure they will. I mean, they're a company that has stood the test of time. I you know, probably think, I don't know off the top of my head all the information about when they were founded and all that, but I know that they've been around for a long time at this point, and I don't think they're going to be going away. I don't think that, you know, this is going to overshadow all of the good things that they've done over there, and I hope that they're not super, you know, upset about what's happening, but I know that they are. So it sucks. It just sucks all the way around. But I mean, this guy, he apparently has been plagiarizing pretty much everything that he's ever done. So apparently he's plagiarized the FIFA review from Nintendo Life. He's plagiarized, you know, some different articles. He plagiarized a NeoGAF user and basically word for word actually of a post on NeoGAF, and he even just said that he believed it himself. Like, it's just weird. There's a lot of different things that you can look up. I'm not going to include them in here. He's been, copyright striking people that have been including stuff in their videos, and I'd like to remain non-copyright claimed if I could. But it's just a mess, and this is really hard for me to talk about because there's so much that it's just kind of sending my mind into like hyperdrive. But it's just it's a mess. The whole situation's a mess. He's pretty, like I said, he's pretty much plagiarized everything. His LinkedIn profile had, plagiarized, like, what's it called? Plagiarized, like, format to it. It's like a template. There you go, template. Has that in there, just completely copy and pasted in there. It is absolutely wild. So IGN basically has to remove all his posts. Like, that was a tweet by Dan, I can't remember his last name. But it's basically that's what happened. He messed up big time, and they have to remove all of his posts. It's so mind-boggling. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is like so completely discombobulated. This is just, like I said, it's sending my mind into hyperdrive as to how this guy was able to get into IGN, and it was just completely undetectable. He did it because, he just stole things from like the least likely sources, and everything he could get his hands on he grabbed. He's basically a serial plagiarist, right? Is that a thing? I think it is. I really truly believe that this guy was just pressured at a deadline, and he just did something uncharacteristic and drastic to get a deadline met. And I was wrong. I was just completely wrong. And once again, I feel bad for IGN. I feel bad for this entire situation. This, though, was actually kind of good for Boomstick Gaming. I think he got a nice increase in subscribers. So, congratulations to him. And really, you have to owe him a lot of credit because he pointed something out that was a problem that could have been an even bigger problem down the line, and an even bigger mess if this guy was at this website, longer than he was, because he would have just been completely, plagiarizing things for years to come. And, by that time, they would have to go back, years to remove this guy's stuff from the website. So it's actually really good that Boomstick figured that out and he was able to report that. And, his success honestly is deserved. He makes great videos. I looked at his videos. He makes awesome reviews. And, he went and just like told things, handled himself, really well. And he didn't want anything bad to happen to Filip. And it was just a very classy way of going about it. And now he's pretty much saved IGN a lot of time, even though it doesn't seem like that right now. He saved IGN a lot of time because, it's very hard to monitor all this stuff because there's so many sources out on the internet, so many people putting out reviews. There's so many things out there. If you can put things into something, that it's going to be very hard to find and to detect. And his mindset of going after a smaller reviewer, it might have worked. It really honestly might have worked, but people pay attention. Boomstick pays attention to what they say about him, or not what they say about him, but what, the games that he reviews, he pays attention to, the things that are going on. And he was, keen enough to pick up on this. And it's just crazy. It really is. So, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in that segment of that. It's just, this is going to change, I think, game journalism for what it is. And, I think for IGN, they probably won't hire another YouTuber for a while, which I don't know, but it's really not their fault. And this is just a really odd situation though. So, this wasn't their fault for hiring him. If you look at his channel, he was a talented guy. He really was. He was a talented guy. He made really high quality videos, and it's not IGN's fault. It really isn't. But we're gonna skip the Twitter topic of the day today just because we're really looks like we're really kind of late here on time. So I'm gonna end it here. But we're back now. You can expect next week we're gonna have a lot of content. I'm gonna continue the Evil Within Let's Play and post episodes. I still have some episodes on my computer, so I'm gonna go ahead and post those. And we're finally back. And next time we'll go to episode 6. It'll be standalone episode 6. It won't have to, piggyback off this episode and make it episode 5 again. No, it's just gonna be episode 6. It won't be episode 7. It'll be episode 6. So thank you guys so much for listening in. Until next time, I will see you later. I don't have an outro that is official yet, but hey, we will find one eventually. And make sure you don't plagiarize people, because it's bad.